Research shows there are a million different remedies for dark circles and they do work. Problem is only this work temporarily. You have to keep applying it over and over again. For example, you can use kojic acid, you can use vitamin C, aloe vera, niacinamide which is a type of B3, or you can even use cucumber extract or cucumber and this will work temporarily. Simply take the remedy and rub it underneath your eyes and give it the same days or even weeks. So what do all of them have in common? They all inhibit melanin which causes this pigmentation in your skin. And it's work you can use that probably not have a lot of side effects. However, two underlying root causes to this problem. You should know, so that you can permanently get rid of this. Top causes of dark circles under the eyes. 1. Cortisol resistance. 2. Insulin resistance. By the way, what could be done with cortisol and insulin resistance to fix your dark circles? First one, what is the condition called cortisol resistance in your body? The first one involves understanding a little bit about your hormonal system. You have a little gland in the brain called the pituitary. It sends a signal to downthrow the body. And one of the tissues it controls is the adrenal gland. You have two of them. Adrenal glands produce a lot of different hormones, but there is one that is called cortisol, and that is stress hormone. So the pituitary sends the signal down to the adrenal when there is recessive stress, and that pituitary hormone is called ACTH, which hints that the adrenal produce the cortisol. When cortisol is produced, that amount of cortisol it is produced reaches up to the pituitary and tells the pituitary to turn off to stop producing the circuit. So now ACTH can stop being inactivated. It's happened when you go through a period of stress called chronic stress, which could include loneliness, losses, or anything to raise your cortisol like synthetic cortisol, like medication. What's going to happen next stage? It is your body going to develop this cortisol resistance, very similar to insulin resistance. This is a real condition. It is called glucocorticoids receptor resistance. What happened in this situation? Because of the excess communication coming down from the pituitary that could be too dangerous. In this situation, the receptor is going to shut down and inhibit the absorption of the cortisol into the cells. And this is a protective mechanism. What's going to happen to the next stage? You're going to have a deficiency of cortisol. So the communication is being sent, but it's not being received. Just as like talking to someone, but they are completely ignoring you. So what are you going to do? You're going to start shouting at them, right? Eventually, you're going to talk louder, and that is exactly what the pituitary started doing. It starts to increase ACTH level of communication. Why? Because it's not getting through okay. Your pituitary thinks you have cortisol deficiency, but in reality is just resistance in the receptor. It's definitely a deficiency, but it's because of too much cortisol. This is the condition called cortisol resistance or glucocorticoids receptor resistance. Exactly similar to insulin resistance. So anytime you have too much ACTH, you're going to have a big spike in this other hormone called melanocyte stimulating hormone. That increases melanin, which is that dark in your skin. And very commonly it can occur right underneath your eye. This is a problem because not only you're going to get this darkening underneath your eye, but you're going to have other symptoms that come along with cortisol resistance. Cortisol helps you adapt to stress. Put your body into stress state to help you overcome stressful situations. But now we have a situation where we have stress, but unfortunately without the benefit of cortisol. So now you get more inflammation in the body, and that can happen on the skin. On the other problems, you're more susceptible to infection. Your immune system is actually becoming very dysfunctional and so on. So what can we do with that cortisol deficiency that really causes this problem? Number one, you have to do something about your stress, that you have to reduce it in any way, shape, or form. I'm talking about the actual source of the stress, no matter what it is. Flash out the stress and start increasing regular aerobic exercise. We are actually not producing a lot of stress, but you running or flushing out all this adrenaline and cortisol out of the system. Actually, if you do physical work outside, that is even better than exercise because it also releases the mental component of stress because it shifts your attention to something else. Next thing is sleep. Get more sleep, take more naps, go to bed earlier, sleep in later. Next thing is that is very important, vitamin D3. Take 20.000 to 30.000 IU vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 ACTC like cortisol on the body but without the side effects, so it can give you some benefit of this cortisol immediately. Magnesium is probably one of the most important minerals to take. Then also limit the amount of skin time. Looking into the computer that really stains the eyes and brain. It just unfortunately is not very healthy even though we all do it. Next thing is reduce insulin. We see this in diabetic. Diabetics have the condition when they have kind dark velvety skin in the fold of their body, sometimes in around their neck, armpits. What's happening is the high level of insulin and insulin resistance that is racing this melanocyte stimulating hormone. And this is a really easy one to correct. If you understand what is happening, all you have to do is bring your carb down to 20 grams or less per day. And then just not eat so frequently, skip the snacks, skip breakfast, and just do 2 or even 1 meal a day. When you fix it, you combine that with lowering your stress and you will see a lighting in your dark circles under your eye, which will then remain absent. When you completely fix these 2 root causes, cortisol resistance and insulin resistance, you will see your under eyes dark circle will disappear.